Our story opens on March 10th, 1968, west of Da Nang in Vietnam. We see a shrouded figure watching from the tree line a pair of Viet Cong men guarding captured American servicemen. One hangs suspended from a tree, and the others are half submerged in filthy water. The stranger silently observes this, and he prepares to step in. And we see that they have already been busy, as a nearby tree branch is decorated with the severed heads of 4 Viet Cong men who they killed on the way in on the perimeter. And so the mysterious man moves in, wading through the green Vietnamese river. He's certainly unconventional looking. The guy is wearing a U.S. Army uniform with this dark gas mask obscuring his face, and a helmet with the words Jungle Gym scrawled across it. He's absolutely armed to the teeth as well, with a heavy firearm, multiple frag grenades, and a large, razor-sharp blade. But perhaps most disconcerting is the fact that he's also bizarrely constantly narrating what he's doing, excitedly chattering to this sergeant. But the problem is, there's no one there. But regardless of the stranger's mental well-being, he appears to be highly gifted in special reconnaissance because the man moves like a ghost, fast, silent, and lethal. He floats up to the dock, undetected, where he sneaks up on the Viet Cong guard, who's about to drown one of the Americans in a cage. And, well, this Jungle Jim character, he silently slits the enemy's throat. He then helps the American out of his trap, and he orders him to go free his friends. And so Jungle Jim stalks up to the Viet Cong HQ, where he pulls a pin out of her grenade and suddenly kicks down the front door. He takes a peek inside and freezes. The Viet Cong are playing a game of Go Fish with an American, a traitor who betrayed his team in order to curry favor with the enemy. Jungle Jim pauses, glaring at the guy and telling him to go fish in hell. And so he tosses the frag into the center of the room and bails. Outside, he runs into one of the freedmen, who is watching his comrade on the dock, attempting to resuscitate their other friend, who is trapped underwater. The guy is completely out cold and non-responsive, and all hope seems to be lost. Well, that is until he finally sputters to life. Well, life might be a choice word, because, rather, the guy is an undead zombie, and he starts ripping the flesh out of the soldier's neck. But Jungle Jim knows what's up, because the apocalypse began like a month ago at this point, so he definitely snipes the two in the head, which is the only way to stop them from coming back. However, as that happens, simultaneously, Jim's buddy there, he winds up getting JFK'd by a Vietnamese guy who survived the explosion. Our hero quickly shoots the bastard, and then he starts frantically apologizing to the invisible sergeant only he can hear, for being a dumb rookie, and for not making sure there were no more loose ends. So yeah, this operation was kind of a bust, but at least our man manages to find one still yet alive prisoner of war. The poor guy is super dehydrated, as he's been locked in a cage all day in the sweltering jungle, but Jim frees him, and they get on their way. The pair wind up marching over 6 miles eastward to Jungle Jim's secret treehouse base. The other dude is alright at this point, a little shaken up, but he's okay. And so he climbs up the tree, where he runs into this short, older Vietnamese lady, who yells at him in her own language. Jim manages to defuse the situation, explaining that her name is Quy, and that she hates the Viet Cong. And I guess she's like his Alfred or something, because she then makes them some stew. Whatever the case, the two get to talking. Jungle Jim takes off his gas mask finally, revealing himself to be a 19-year-old kid with this wild look in his eyes. Jim asks the serviceman what his name is, and the guy replies that it's Brian Curlis. Apparently, Brian here is actually a Marine, and he and his boys got ambushed and captured by the enemy on a patrol one day. The jarhead then looks up at Jim and asks what his story is. The kid laughs, and he discloses that his real name is actually not Jim. It's Sam Adler, and he shares that he's an army soldier, specialized in counterinsurgency operations. Sam then jabs his thumb back and gestures at the wall, where there's these pictures that show the real Jungle Jim. You see, Jungle Jim was the nickname of one Sergeant James W. Asher. The story goes that Sam voluntarily signed up to join the army without a draft compelling him to do so in order to avoid his problems back at home. And it was Sergeant Asher who took him under his wing. Jungle Jim taught the kid everything he knew, and he showed him the ways of jungle warfare, even going so far out of his way to counsel Sam about his personal affairs. However, this mentorship was not fated to last. 3 weeks ago, Sam, his sergeant, and their platoon were sent on a search and destroy mission deep in the jungle. Immediately, things started going wrong because they encountered unexpectedly heavy resistance from the VC. Several Americans were killed, and, well, you know what that means. Rising up and surprising them from behind was a pack of ravenous zombies. And despite everything Jungle Jim taught him, when he was actually in the shit, Sam started to break down and panic. The lad began wildly flailing his gun around, and sadly, he ended up shooting his own sergeant down. So, after killing his own father figure and hearing his friends screaming in agony around him as mortar shells pelted the ground, Sam simply ran. Not tactically, not bravely, just ran until his legs gave out and the jungle swallowed him whole. And there, lost in a foreign land far away from home, he eventually met Kui, and the rest is history. So, after hearing this tale, Brian, the Marine, tries to comfort Sam and to ease his guilt, but the young buck isn't having it. In his eyes, he not only left Jungle Jim Asher to die, he allowed the man to turn into this cannibal monster that will continue to actively harm any survivors who are out there. And that's why Sam runs around the jungle. Sure, he saves people when he can, but his real mission is to locate the undead man and put him down for good. That's his purpose. That's why he's here. Brian looks at him aghast and asks how he's so sure that a sergeant is even out there. Sam stares back at him blankly with crazed eyes and responds that he knows because his sergeant still talks to him. Oh boy. Yeah. So anyway, Kui tells them both to shh because she sees a line of lanterns moving on the ground closer to them. It's the Viet Cong. Sam hands Brian a weapon and tells him to get ready to kill some motherfuckers if they get too close. And that's exactly what happens. One of the Vietnamese guys spots the magic treehouse up there, and it quickly becomes a war zone. Unfortunately, Kui's head gets exploded in a spray of blood, and Sam lets out a fierce war cry before he too is tragically struck down by a hail of bullets. Brian crawls over to his dying savior, and he's unwilling to abandon him. But Sam, with a jaunty grin across his face, laughs and remarks about how ironic it is that saving the Marine ultimately ended in his death. He tells Brian to escape while he still can, but to make sure to grab a duffel bag by the door on the way out. And so Brian, with a sad look on his face, complies, shooting Sam in the head and blowing up the hideout with a rocket. The Marine darts into the jungle, where he unzips the duffel bag, which is stuffed with maps, and Sam's signature uniform. Brian's face twitches as he stares at the helmet. He reads the words on it over and over again. He mutters out loud that this is all crazy, but, quote, maybe crazy is catching. Right, Sarge? So the one-shot ends with Brian seemingly descending into madness, donning the iconic getup and becoming the new Jungle Jim.